Hello there. It's time for Most Things Kenobi.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Most Things Kenobi, a podcast about Obi-Wan Kenobi and all things Star Wars. I'm your host, Lauren.
And I'm your host, Leanne.
And this week, we are not giving up yet on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
No, man, that episode 7 was really something, wasn't it? Oh. I wish.
Oh, man. Where would they have gone from there, though?
They wrapped it up pretty damn well.
Episode 7 would have just been Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon bickering for 45 minutes.
I think back at the Qui-Gon moment, and I'm so happy he was as snippy as he was, because it's like, you have 30 seconds of screen time since the 90s, basically, and your one line is sassy. It's so perfect. It's fucking perfect.
Yeah, it was, it's just like setting the tone for the rest of their 10 years in the desert together.
Yeah, like, please give us the adventures of Obi-Wan and Force Ghost Qui-Gon. Jesus, I can't even talk. Well, speaking of Qui-Gon, we're, like you said, we're not giving up. We're revisiting our top 5 list of wants that we wanted in the Kenobi series to see if we got them, and if we didn't get them, are we glad or are we still bitter? Because I'm bitter about one of them.
Oh man, I'm bitter. I'm a little bitter.
Not that the show wasn't good.
No, it was very good. There are a few items I would like to discuss.
Yeah. Do you want to go on? How do you want to approach this? So should we go in order?
Well, when we did our previous episode, it was episode 47 was our top 5 things we wanted to see. And we started with 5 and went to 1. So you want to do that again with this?
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, you started. So you go ahead.
Yeah. My number 5 was Clone Wars flashback with Obi-Wan and Anakin in their Clone Wars armor. And I am bitter over this, okay? Look, we got a flashback. We got flashbacks. But I wanted the armor. I wanted to see Hayden and Ewan in the armor. Yeah. That's all.
Yeah. We got a flashback, and that was very nice. But we didn't really get much Clone Wars reference at all, and like definitely not the Clone Wars armor. Like, I think I would have died if we saw live action armor from Clone Wars. I would have dropped dead right then and there.
Maybe it's a good thing that we didn't see it, because we would not be here to talk about it.
We're still alive.
I'd still be in the hotel room I recorded last week's episode in, waiting for someone to come carry me away. Like,
half eaten by wild dogs, I think is what they say in Bridget Jones's Diary.
Yes. Yeah, I just keep thinking of that photo or that art piece that's out there. If you know, you know.
Yeah.
You know, the one of like Hayden in the Clone Wars body. Like, not cartoon, but in the armor, the blue and the maroon and the, the dark. And then Ewan's head on the like white armor with the clones and stuff, and like they're mid-battle or something, or they're striking off into battle. And God, I had this like idea that it would be so cool to see.
And it could have been small. It could have been them standing on a ship together. Just any kind of small reference the audience would have lost their minds over. Like, it didn't have to be much, but yeah.
Do you think it's because Deborah Chow didn't want to step on Filoni's toes?
I don't know. I've actually given it some thought, because there's really no Clone Wars. There's really not a Clone Wars reference. Like, there are little homages that like we can extrapolate as a Clone Wars homage. Like when we were talking about the last episode and Obi-Wan holding the rocks back, like they do that in Clone Wars. You don't really see that. They did it in Clone Wars before Rey does it, in Last Jedi. But like there's nothing overt. And
well, we had in the Jedi, like in that tomb at the Inquisitor's palace, the first one they show is the old master. What's his name?
Oh yeah, Sunube.
Yeah, Sinube. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So there's Master Sunube is definitely Clone Wars reference.
Yeah, because he was nowhere else. And we also got Quinlan, is he not Clone Wars specific?
He was part of Legends, but he's canonically, I think, only really showed up in the Clone Wars. Maybe there's a comic book with him now. I think there is. But like previously, he was a Legends character until Clone Wars. So yeah, I guess I would count that as a Clone Wars reference.
But nothing too visual.
No, nothing visual, really.
And certainly nothing Clone Wars related as far as armor. All I wanted was the armor, damn it. I just want to see these two men dressed in this armor.
I think a lot of people would kill to see that. It's just, I get it, because Ewan and Hayden's Star Wars experience is prequels. It's not Clone Wars at all. Yeah. So if they're just kind of expanding that story they had already been participating in, I get it. But there was a lot of material, and that's my number one is Clone Wars flashbacks also. So I guess we might as well just get it out of the way now.
Yeah, we'll just talk about that, yeah.
We had no reference to any of the really important stuff from Obi-Wan's storylines. Like, there's no reference to Maul. There's no reference to Satine. Not overtly, anyway. There was, like, cinematography symbolism, but that's not the same thing. And you can read into that maybe more than what they were trying to actually say. I don't know. I was sad. Like, somebody even said it would have been great to see Hondo. How fucking cool would that have been?
No,
oh my God.
I think it would have been a great idea, because he's heavily in the Disney parks. He's heavily involved. And now he's kind of everywhere. He's in Rebels. You know, he's a fixture. He's become a fixture.
Well, and the fact that there was no reference whatsoever to Ahsoka.
No, I know.
Which is crazy to me. Yeah. That, like, even in that, like, okay, I get it. I know some people are like, Ahsoka's in fucking everything. Could we have one thing without Ahsoka? Because we know it's Filoni's favorite. Ahsoka is Filoni's baby. He, like, raised her, and she is now a grown-up Jedi. Yes, I totally get it. But, like, she was Anakin's Padawan. She was a very important part of both Obi-Wan and Anakin's lives. No reference to her whatsoever. Not even when they talked to each other and there was the confrontation. You would have thought that Obi-Wan would have been like, what would Ahsoka think? You know, of what
just
you've
one
become.
line.
Yeah. So it's that alone to me is like a little sad, and like it was a little bit blatant, almost to the fact of me taking it as like, this isn't Clone Wars, so don't come here looking for that.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's fine.
But it's just a little sad for those of us who are huge, like, Clone Wars fans. We were kind of hoping for that one little live action reference, because we would all love that. But
I do feel like we were somewhat misled, only based off of, I believe that the Star Wars main account said certain Clone Wars episodes you need to see before you watch the Kenobi series.
That's true.
And they mentioned the Satine episodes.
You're right. They did.
And that made a lot of people think, like, oh my God, we're going to get some kind of reference to Satine in this. Like, it's going to happen. Yeah. They're going to acknowledge it. Whatever. And then it never happened. And that was kind of in the back of my head while watching the show. Like, I wonder why they said those specific episodes.
You're right. Because they were listed as important background for Obi-Wan's history. And it's like, after watching that, like, I was watching the show with somebody who has not watched Clone Wars. They weren't lost.
No.
You know, it's like they didn't need to see those episodes in order to understand what was going on. And honestly, you don't need to see the prequels either to understand what's going on. People who have seen the original trilogy only, who know who Obi-Wan is at the beginning of A New Hope, they don't need to see what happened in Revenge of the Sith, I think, to really appreciate and understand this story.
It's pretty much implied.
Yeah, you'll miss stuff, I'm sure, like little Easter eggs or little references, but it's not like you won't enjoy it or you won't understand what's happening. So, yeah, I don't know. You're right. They definitely kind of misled people, I would say. Maybe not on purpose. Maybe they were just
maybe
trying
not.
to like
Maybe they just
getting people hyped, but still, like,
yeah. I think it got the Obi-Teen community very hyped with very big letdown. On to our next one. My number 4 was Cassian Andor,
yeah.
which is a huge, huge surprise to me that we did not get a Cassian in the Underground Railroad moments. I think it would have been a perfect, unless they have different plans for his show. Fine, fair enough. But I think if they were to introduce Cassian, he could have been Raja's, is that his name? I still don't know how to pronounce his name.
Oh, the charlatan Jedi?
The fake Jedi.
Haja.
Yeah, what's his name? Haja? Paja?
No, I watched
Jesus
it.
Lord.
I watched it with subtitles. I thought it said Haja, but now I'm second guessing myself.
I get the humor and like the irony of it all, but like they could have just had Cassian.
Yeah.
Or just had him in the Underground Railroad group there when they got to the cave.
Yeah, I mean, he could have, instead of having Roken, it would have made more sense if Cassian.
Or have Roken team up with Cassian.
Yes.
Like Andor's there at Jabim and says like, yeah, Roken, I've got a job for you or something. And like, dot, you know?
Right. Unless they're going to have Reva join the Cassian show because she's no longer an Inquisitor and maybe she's going to join the rebellion, so she'll be the tie-in. But either way, as we've discussed in the past, it's a marketing opportunity missed. Tie the shows together, which they're doing with every other show, but they're making it seem like Obi-Wan is just going to stand alone, which maybe it will. And like, I'm not opposed to that, but it would have been a great way to tie the stories together because the Cassian show is coming out soon, and it would have been a way to make people who are like maybe just into the prequels and don't really care about the new shows, it would have tied them, given them a reason to watch the Andor show that's coming out. I don't need a reason. I'm so excited for that show. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm excited to get something totally different from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, they showed a preview of it at Celebration, and it looks so good.
I'm excited.
It looks great.
I really am.
I think it comes out in August, so it's soon. We won't have to wait much longer. Yep. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was sad. Missed opportunity.
Yep.
So my number 4 was I wanted to see. We skipped my number 5. Because I did my number 1.
Oh, shit. Well, you know what? Okay, we'll just go do your number 5 and your number 4. How's that? We'll get a 2-for-1 here. Sorry.
No, I was oblivious.
You did do your number 1, though.
I'm tired
We're
of
space twins.
Sorry, I need a nap. Okay, so my number 5 then would be I wanted to see moments where Obi-Wan had to hide that he was a Jedi, which we definitely did see.
We definitely did. We saw his struggle coming out of it, too.
Yeah. To, like, go back into Jedi form was very difficult and took basically 4 to 5 episodes.
Right. Well, it was gradual, and it was all because of Leia and Luke, which I think is beautiful.
Yeah, I don't think he would have ever gotten back to it without either of them. And
definitely not out of the rock pile.
No, yeah, he was getting crushed pretty good there until he saw the vision of Luke and Leia. I mean, that first time we see him at the meat packing.
Yep.
You see him want to defend that guy who is not getting paid his full amount, but he swallows his comment and just averts his eyes and goes about his business. So that was really cool to see. We did not see, I was kind of wondering if we would ever see him like sneak use the Force, to like protect someone he was seeing who wasn't treated fairly, and that was not the case. He was basically totally shut off from the Force. And I don't have a problem with that. I thought it was really cool.
Me neither.
As we've discussed, though, we kind of like wished he came back to his power through a more spiritual path of
Yeah.
like rediscovering, as opposed to it being just like a muscle memory thing. Literally a muscle memory thing of him like playing with a thing, like dragging it across a tabletop. That was kind of like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess it's just a physical thing. Like, no, the sport,
Yeah.
the Force is spiritual.
It is. It's
So-
your connection to all living things. I mean, how can it not be?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So it would have been more interesting, I think, to see that, because we don't see it when he's a youngling. You never see how he grows into the Force. It'd be cool to see his reconnection with it as an adult who has been a Jedi Master. You know, I don't know, whatever. This is nitpicking. I mean, I liked what we got. I'm not complaining.
Oh, what we got was fantastic. Yeah, but it's just now that we've seen it, now that we know,
yeah.
going back over these things are very interesting because we now see where they could have fit in very easily,
Yeah.
which is so like Monday morning quarterbacking or backseat driving or like, you know, all those catchphrases of like how easy for us to judge now, you know, which is not what we're trying to do. It's just
No, not at all.
we got basically everything we wanted. Basically.
Almost. Yeah.
Almost. Like your number 4 you got.
Sort of. Not really. I mean, I wanted to see Obi-Wan like light up Qui-Gon or Anakin's lightsaber, and we saw him pick up Anakin's lightsaber. Did he light it?
No, what did he do with it?
I don't know, because he took his own lightsaber out of the box.
He did.
I think we see it at the end, which I'm mixing this up with like a fan film or some art.
Oh yeah,
but-
because Jamie Costa's video.
yeah, right.
What does he do with it? No,
He definitely
he
didn't.
digs up his own.
He didn't show that he had Qui-Gon's lightsaber. I was looking for that in the last sequence, because when he shows up at the Lars farm and he's got like the orange goggles on and the like robe,
yeah.
that's a direct 100% reference to a comic book.
A comic. Yes, it's also a direct 100% comparison to my friends Dan and Greg, who both wore those exact same goggles on the Star Cruiser. Just saying. I said, oh my God, it's Greg's goggles and they are canon after all. Like, I like had this moment. I know they're listening, but like,
So funny.
I had this moment. I was like, oh my God, Dan and Greg's goggles.
The goggles
Anyway,
are canon.
they are canon officially. Everyone can relax. Dan, Greg, you can relax. Sorry.
No, you're fine. But there was definitely only his own lightsaber on his hip, though. So
Yeah.
he doesn't have
Yeah,
Qui-Gon.
he's carrying them. You know he has them. He's carrying them.
He's got to have him somewhere. We know
Definitely. He keeps these things.
he's got Anakin's.
Did you happen to see the meme after episode? What is the episode where they show all of the lightsabers at the Jabim camp in
yeah.
the cave? And off in the distance, someone like photoshopped in fucking Grievous, like, oh yes, all the lightsabers, like, because they were just laying there for the taking.
Oh my God, I did not see that. That's so funny.
I'll send it to you. It's good.
Thank you. Man, I miss Grievous. I wish he could have been in this
Grievous,
show.
man. We love you, Grievous.
Grievous forever. Yeah. I mean, I really wanted to see him like it ties back into the spiritual thing. I wanted to see him like using the lightsabers to like re-step into his power, like practicing katas or some fucking thing. But instead we got like Obi-Wan looking scared shitless 9 times out of 10, not really wanting to use his lightsaber, which is fine. Like I said, just because it's not what I wanted doesn't mean that it wasn't great. Still, I still
Precisely
did like it, so it's okay. I'm
Yeah.
all right.
For some reason, I was thinking he lit up Anakin's lightsaber, but he didn't.
I don't think. Yeah, he buried them.
He buried
Yeah,
them in sand. All those Skywalker lightsabers just buried in sand.
and I don't really know if any of them are that big of a fan of sand.
No, I don't believe they are. Even Leia, because like I can't even see Carrie Fisher enjoying sand whatsoever, like at all.
No.
So I'm just gonna go ahead and say that Leia didn't like sand. Look where she came from. Alderaan was beautiful, and was that not like one of my honorable mentions?
Oh, seriously, yeah.
Was Alderaan? So
I-
we got to see some fucking Alderaan. I didn't know we were going to get everything that we got, but I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, you got your number 3 like a million
I
times
got my
over.
number 3. I got my number 3. I got my number 3. My number 3, Vader being ruthless. Those are my exact words. I would say we got that many times over.
Yep.
I'm fine. The end.
No change necessary.
No. What moment do I choose from? The neck snapping, the dragging through the street, the glass that's on fire, the putting your hand on the dirt and like splitting the earth in half. Like, man, pick your poison. I love it.
Yeeting a ship out of the sky, I think is how you phrased it.
How could I forget yeeting a ship out of the sky? Jeez. Oh, and lest we forget the absolute manhandling of Reva.
Oh yeah.
Without even whipping out a lightsaber. I'll never get over that. I'm never gonna get over that.
Just done with his own brain, basically.
That's it.
Crazy.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's ruthless.
Well,
and I'm here for it.
You're welcome.
So that's my number 3. Yes. Thank you. Thank you forever.
I got my number 3 too. I got nightmares.
You did. And I thought of it because we got it pretty early in the show.
We did, like right off the bat.
And I said, she can check that one off.
Yeah, it would have been okay if they like just kept happening. But he doesn't sleep anymore, so I guess that's why he's got no nightmares.
But he got his nap. It was restless.
Yeah.
Disturbed. Sweaty. Did I add that part? He might have been sweaty.
I think he was. He was uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. And on Tatooine.
I mean, the very fact that we saw him sleeping at all was like a big deal. And then to have it always be like haunted dreams was excellent. And I am here for it. Thank you very much.
Yes, that was a good one. My number 2 kind of ties into it. I said crying.
Especially at the end.
At the end, when he apologized to Anakin. That's sad. It's so sad. It's terribly sad.
Oh, God. I can't even, like, just thinking about it makes my heart hurt.
Ewan is so good at that. Where he kind of looks like away from the camera when he says it. Like, he can't bear to look at what's in front of him. That is so painful. Like,
I know.
It hurts me to even phrase it like that because
know,
there's a human
true.
under that suit, but you can't, and it's horrific.
When it's like he knows that was his best friend, but it's also heartbreaking because it is no longer his
Not
best
even
friend.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God, it was so good, and his performance was so excellent, and. Like I said in our episode, it still is haunting me. Like every time I think of it, I have to like stop and just go right back to that moment of the first time I watched it. Because it was just, you've never seen characters doing that. I mean, I guess the closest you get is something sometimes like, is like Luke is the most emotional, I would say. I don't know. But like to have Obi-Wan have a moment like that is almost unheard of. Yeah. Like,
and the juxtaposition, he is at his most powerful just moments before that, and then he's at his most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it really, I mean, those are 2 extremes of the same human that he has the capacity to be as powerful with the Force and just a badass, right? No cinnamon bun here, and then he turns around and there's just he's crying and he's sad and he's sorry and he's lost his best friend and he knows it now, like he really knows it, and that kind of heartbreak is so palpable. And Ewan's delivery is I could not ask for anything more from an actor.
Yeah,
he did it so well. Everyone I talked to who watched that scene teared up. Literally all my friends.
Yeah,
not just you, but like people online. My best friend down in Florida, Derek. Hey, Derek. Like, all of everybody I know teared up.
Yeah.
Men, women, doesn't matter.
No, yeah.
They felt it in that moment. That is hugely impactful. If that's the crying that I was hoping for, I don't know that I could have envisioned it being that good.
No, and like, it would have been So, like, it makes me glad then that we didn't get a moment where he breaks earlier because, again,
True.
in the sense that, like, he's never told anyone he loved them except Anakin.
Yeah.
He doesn't break
Yeah.
in front of anybody except Anakin. And, like,
It's so true.
it would have detracted from that moment if it had already happened. And so I can accept that, like, he didn't break down in front of Tala or talking to Leia or anything, even though that would have been, like, you know, really great.
Appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah, and appropriate.
Totally.
But he holds it together just like fucking always until he's right there in front of the person who probably knows him best and is using that against him, like how many other evil people have in Star Wars, manipulated Obi-Wan by knowing him too well. It's just like
Totally.
fucking just totally devastating, but really good.
Oh, so good. I was thinking about this after the fact. Is Obi-Wan's apology an admission of, you know, just the past and what happened towards Anakin? Was that the first time Anakin had heard anything closely related to love or affection since he had that suit put on him?
I'm sure that was the first any kind of affection he would have had. Because as a Sith, he's not supposed to have that. Like, he's supposed to be fueled by passion and anger.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he had felt any kind of love, which the Emperor says in the show, like, you are distracted, you know?
Yeah, Palpatine was right on it.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are connected by a leash and a collar
Yeah.
forever, which is so sad.
I also don't take Obi-Wan's apology as, like, canonical proof that he's responsible. I think it's the total opposite, that it shows that he feels guilty, but Anakin says, this isn't your fault, this was my choice. And so, like,
Yeah.
I've had quite a few people message me saying, like, haters who always blame Obi-Wan, now it's canon,
Yeah.
it's not Obi-Wan's fault. It was Anakin's choice, and it always has been, and even George Lucas says that and even though he's done bad things inside, Anakin is not a bad man. And so it's like, that's why his redemption is possible. So, like, blaming Obi-Wan is completely wrong and off course, basically, as stated by George Lucas himself, and now
Yeah.
Disney's canon version. So it's, can we just lay that to rest?
Yeah, please, because I couldn't agree more. Again, it's I think Obi-Wan's apology in that moment was half to himself and half to Anakin. Like, it's the same way as someone who, you know, fought for something and it didn't turn out the way they wanted, and you say, I'm sorry that happened. You know, it may not have been all his fault or his fault at all, but he's still sorry it happened. Like,
Yeah.
that they lost, that the Jedi, you know, he's sorry that things turned out the way they did on the whole. And Anakin was a big part of that. Like,
Yeah.
it was a cleansing moment, and I'm glad we got that kind of vulnerability, because I would not have guessed. There's no way when I made this list I would have thought we were going to get that moment. There's no way.
No, I didn't either.
None. Not at all.
No. It was great, though.
So glad we did.
Yeah. So my number 2 was Qui-Gon, which was...
How you feel about that? Because you said in the last episode, you're like, come on.
Yeah, I mean, it really felt like slapdash.
Well, yeah, a little bit, but
It was...
he was sassy.
He was sassy, but
He was just missing the umbrella.
It should have been spiritual. Why the fuck was it sassy? It did, honestly, I'm very disappointed. I'm gonna be honest.
I know.
Like, I'm glad it was there because we asked for it. But honestly, like, he's been reaching out to him in a spiritual sense the entire time, and instead we get, like, a comedy moment at the end. It was just like, okay, thanks.
Yeah, I do. Well, first of all, I'm still confused at whether or not he's supposed to be just a voice or a physical ghost entity, because I was always under the impression that Qui-Gon never became a Force ghost entity.
He says so himself in the Clone Wars. He was in the process
Yeah.
of learning from the Wills when he died before he had finished his studying.
Correct.
So, I forget who said this to me. Maybe it was Kenobi Wolf said it. Like, it implies that you can continue to learn after death. Okay,
Yeah.
great. How the fuck did Anakin know how to become a Force ghost then? He
It's
didn't
true.
study a goddamn thing. So, like, of the wills.
So that we need some clarification. We need
Yeah.
more on this. Like, there has to be, someone has to, Filoni?
He was the one who was starting the explanation.
I
in
know
season-
that,
What
so-
was that? Season 6, and then they got canceled. So, like,
Yes.
that I think is the most inconsistent part of Star Wars, is addressing
It is.
Force ghosts and corporeal preservation as opposed to like just your mental preservation or spiritual
It's true.
preservation. I don't know it's all over the place. Everybody has a different experience. Like, and Leia was a Force ghost.
Yes. So, yeah. You know what? We should talk about this soon.
Like, as an episode.
But maybe we should talk about the Wills and Force Ghosts in the next episode.
That'd be interesting.
We always said we wanted to.
Yeah. I would love that. Let's do it. Well, your number one was also, well, my number two, but we've already talked about my number one. Your number one.
My number one was Qui-Gon, and so I'm glad we got him. I'm glad we got him right at the end. Better than never. Better than nothing, right? Right?
Better late than never. Yeah.
I am disappointed it wasn't more of a spiritual talk. Because I feel like we never got that anyway. And so, again, I still am disappointed that we never got the... After Obi-Wan was drugged through the glass that was on fire. First time seeing Vader / Anakin since the incident. And we never got like a post... I need to deal with this emotionally moment.
Mm-hmm.
That is the biggest miss for me in this whole entire show.
Yeah.
And I think it would have been a much more appropriate use of Qui-Gon in that moment, or leading up to that moment, perhaps. I would have accepted that a lot better.
Yeah.
I do like that they kind of ride off into the sunset together, because maybe those talks will take place, but we're not seeing them. So now, again, we're back to envisioning them in our mind, having headcanons, etc.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's an important part of Obi-Wan's progression that was not used. It wouldn't have taken away from the story. It wouldn't have taken away from the focus of him and Anakin. It wouldn't have taken away from him and Leia. It would have wrapped together, you know? I'm glad we got him in the end, but at the same time, I just envisioned a much different interaction than what we got. And I didn't like that Obi-Wan just like, oh, hey, Qui-Gon. I mean, it seemed like he was begging for him to talk to him.
Yeah.
In the moments where he was like, okay, master, like this, that, and the other thing and whatever. And I know many other people have different opinions of how that scene is interpreted, but that's how I interpreted it.
Yeah.
I'm open to other interpretations, but my initial thing was like, why isn't Obi-Wan more surprised? Like,
Yeah, I mean, he's been trying really hard, and then all of a sudden he shows up out of nowhere, standing in the middle of the desert in some random valley. Like,
yeah.
yeah, truly, I wish they would have shown him, like, how I would have done it, right? It's like he's sitting quiet, meditating, finally centered, balanced, and then you just hear Qui-Gon's voice say,
Yes.
hello, Padawan, or something like that. And then he opens his eyes, and that's the end of the series. That would have been so much more like...
That's beautiful.
Because then it's like there's more story to tell. Because they clearly weren't going to use Qui-Gon till the very last second anyway. So why do this stupid, like, howdy, partner, let's walk off into the distance together. It's just like, the fuck was that?
I don't know.
Plus, like, I'm sorry, the prosthetic beard was just sticking out on the side.
Well, I wasn't going to mention it, but...
Oh, man.
A lot of hair mistakes in this series.
It was like you said, maybe it was just an homage to the prequels.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, but
God.
that's me giving them the benefit of the doubt, so...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like you said, glad he was there. I'm glad it happened. Could it have been...
Just not how I thought.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest miss, I'll say, for the show. Like, there were a lot of hits that were fantastic. The biggest miss was the potential for spirituality, like character growth, they were doing it. The first 3 episodes were all that, and then they just stopped and never came back to it. And,
It's true.
like, people were fucking eating that shit up.
They really were.
So,
they
like,
really were.
Please pay attention, Disney. Like, your character studies are just as important as, like, your lightsaber duels, you know? And if you look at the lightsaber duels of the original trilogy, they are used as a spiritual moment, always.
It's true.
They're not...
Yeah, you are right.
They're not action moments. They're intercut with action, like Lando and all of them trying to take out the Death Star, while Luke is having this crazy spiritual experience while fighting his father. You know, like...
Yeah. It's a vehicle for growth.
Exactly. Exactly. It shouldn't be just there for entertainment. It should be there to progress the character's story. And we thought that was what was going to happen with that first interaction between Obi-Wan and Vader, and it led to nothing.
It was a complete just drop the ball. Just dropped it and then kicked it out of the arena. Totally.
Yeah.
Like,
and like we were still entertained. We still liked the rest of the show. It was so great. I loved the finale, especially at least the confrontation between Obi-Wan and Vader. So fucking good. So like, yeah, I'm not hating the show, but like it was just a really good example of how like the character-driven stuff is really the stuff that drives the full story. The action isn't enough to drive the whole thing. And people will eventually get bored and lose interest if that's all that's happening, because it's not rewarding to see that constantly. But that's just my opinion.
it's mine too. This is why we're space twins. I'm doing a lot of head nodding. No one can see it except you.
No, we're both just like,
head bobbing along here. That's our top 5, what we got and what we didn't get, and a lot of diatribes about both. But overall, do not get it twisted. I loved the show, and I'm very satisfied.
Yeah, me too. And as we said in the last one, if they don't do a second season, I'm okay with that. It would be interesting.
With it too.
I would love to see what they come up with, but this was very good as a single entity, and I'm more than satisfied. So, yeah.
And to be satisfied by Obi-Wan Kenobi is everyone's dream. Hey. Am I right or am I right?
No argument here. End of episode.
End of episode. It's pretty obvious what we're going to ask you this week. Since we talked about the moments that we were hoping to see in Kenobi, some we got, some we didn't, what's a moment that you were hoping to see in the Kenobi series that you did not see, you did not get? We would love to know.
Next week, we've inspired ourselves with this conversation. I think we've decided we're going to dive into the Wills and talk about Force ghosts and Qui-Gon's Force voice.
Beard. Oh.
Or beard.
Sorry.
Yeah, Force beard. The Force is not good with the beard.
Nope.
And just kind of dive into it and kind of talk about what we see in canon, and we'll do a little bit of research and just have a fun discussion about it, because we both want to explore that a little bit more.
Yeah, let's get deep and spiritual. I think it'll be fun.
Thank you so much for joining us here on the Most Things Kenobi podcast. If you would like to support us, you can do so now on Patreon. And as always, follow us on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast player. If you enjoy our podcast, feel free to rate us on Spotify and Apple. And if you need just one place to find all of these, head over to mostthinkskenobi.com.
So until next time, my space twin, may the Force be with you.
Always.